Hello and welcome back. Here we are again on our objective screen for our project, so let's take a look. What are we doing? We will create a radial design inspired by traditional mandalas. How are we doing this? By following directions and using Pixlr E. And why are we doing this? In order to learn about symmetrical balance and radial balance in our artwork. We're going to take a break from our vocabulary review today because we have quite a bit in our next step. So let's move right into today's goal. Today's goal is we're going to duplicate our pie shape, creating our radial design. So the first thing we need to do is use the duplicate layer to make more copies of our pie shape. And then we're going to use the move tool to move and rotate those pieces into place. Prior to doing this, we do need to enlarge our canvas as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to get out of the project objectives and let's go ahead and open up a new tab, and we're going to go to pixlr.com/E and I'll hit enter. Okay. Again, if your image was lucky enough to be saved here and you did not delete your browser cache, you can go ahead and just click on this. Otherwise, you would have to click Open Image and find your image in the Downloads folder from the previous session. I'm going to go ahead and click on this image. Okay, so there it is. I'm just going to click off of it because it was selected there for a moment. And the first thing that I want to do here is I'm going to move this image into like the top left, kind of snaps into place. You'll see those purple corners like that. Okay, that's the first thing. And I'm going to click off of that to set that in place. Next, after I have that in the right positioning, I am going to enlarge my canvas. So there it is. I want to go up here to Image, Canvas Size, and we're going to change this from 1080 to 1500 by 1500. Okay, and I'm going to come down here to the bottom and I'm going to click apply. All right, so that just made it bigger here. And I'm going to kind of click on my zoom tool here and tell it to fit so I can see all the way around that composition. Okay, I'm going to click on my arrange tool over here. And once again, I'm going to take this. Nope, I'm going to leave that shape right where it is. We don't want to move it out because if we move it, then it'll actually go off the page and not be in the center because this is actually marked in the center right now. So with that image right there selected, I'm going to come down here and hide my history tab. And on the layers palette, I'm going to right click and I'm going to right there it is, duplicate layer. Okay, so it duplicated. There's now a second layer, okay, with that. And this is where Photoshop does have Pixlr beat, because there is a way in Photoshop so that we don't have to manually rotate each one of these. So what we're going to do is we moved it out and we're going to use the circle on the side to kind of manually rotate that. We want to try to match up those edges so they're running somewhat parallel. And then once we do have it, we're going to move those things together. Okay, fitting them nice and neat like that. I'm then going to come over here and duplicate that last layer. So right click, duplicate, move it off of the image, use the circle, and try to fit this together. Okay, as close as possible. Okay, and I'm also paying attention to my point down here because I want them to line up. I am going to take my magnifying glass here at this point and move in on the image because you can see there's still a gap right here. And I'm going to get rid of this add. And I'm going to move this in. The other thing you can do is you can use your keys on the keyboard to fine tune that and get that lined up as close as possible. All right, while I'm zoomed in here, actually, I'm going to look at this one next too. And it looks like I need to select this one and just rotate just a little bit and use my mouse to connect that. This is super important, and that's why this session is slated, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit more, to be only one session, and we didn't do the vocabulary because we do want to try to get this as completed as possible. So I have a roller bar on my mouse, which is how I'm scrolling in and out to get that. But you can adjust with your magnifying glass too. This one's going to be tricky, I think. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to go back in, and actually, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit low in my placement. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to stay in tight here, and I'm going to duplicate this image. I'm going to move it over and zoom back out. And right click and I can tell it out, or there is a control, a shortcut there. So it's control plus minus. So if I hit control minus, I can get out. And then control plus is to get back in. Okay, and I'll get my move tool then. And I'm going to grab my edge and rotate this out. And keep going. Get rid of this add. It's a very nice piece of software that's free, but those ads do get annoying. I gotta go in just a hair. Okay, thinking that that looks pretty good. And I'll set that, and then I'm gonna duplicate this one. And I'm going to keep doing this. So I'm going to speed up the video at this point. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to zoom back out and fit this to my screen. Looks pretty good. I'm a little bit more than 180 degrees there. It's not quite a straight line, as you can see, but we're going to kind of make this work anyway. So I have a bunch of layers over here in the layers palette. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of those layers and flatten or merge them into one layer. So over here on the palette, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go down to merge visible layers. And that flattens everything onto that single layer. It did lock that layer as well. So I'm just going to double click on the lock to get rid of it. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate that last layer. I'm then going to get my arrange tool and move the duplicated layer, rotate it around, and line it up and pull it together. And that looks pretty darn good. You can tell there is a bit of an overlap, but the only folks that are going to notice that are you and I. Everybody else is going to be like, wow, that's amazing. And it really is. They look really amazing. So now that I have that in place, I'm just going to click off of that to set that. And that is where we are done for today. So a couple of things we always do when we finish. We're going to go File, Save. Make sure it's PNG. Everything looks fine. My image width and height have not been adjusted here. Oh yes, I have 1500 by 1500. That looks good. And I'm going to hit done or download. Okay, so that image will now download into our downloads folder. Perfect. And we'll close our ad. And then we're going to do our screenshot. So Alt or Control and our Windows button, We get a nice screenshot to submit as our progress photo for the day. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this process and you have a beautiful radial design at this point. I look forward to seeing these progress photos. If you have any concerns or questions or need any help, please reach out and let me know.